Very good afternoon and welcome to the Midday News on 3FM and 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. The news is also live on Kesmi 107.1 FM and across the country at 3news.com. Coming up in the next 30 minutes. Opposition New Patriotic Party fights off suggestions its mismanagement of Cocoa Board is partly to blame for recent operational and financial challenges facing the company. Also on the program, Accra High Court grants leave to parties in the Vehicle Enforcement Association versus the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority case to settle the matter out of court. And much later on the program, Food and Drugs Authority seizes dozens of diapers from the whole central market in the Votri region over safety and regulatory compliance concerns. Thank you very much for joining us this afternoon. Now, the General Secretary of the New Patriotic Party, Justice Frimpong Kodia, has criticized the governing National Democratic Congress over the reduction in cocoa producer prices. The government, on Thursday, February 12, 2026, announced a cut in the producer price from 3,625 per bag to 2,587 per bag as part of measures to address challenges in the cocoa sector. Speaking in an interview on TV3 New Day today, Mr. Kodia argued that a decision could create tension between cocoa farmers and licensed buying companies, particularly where produce had already been supplied under the previous price arrangement. He further contended that the reduction weakens incentives for farmers and could push some to abandon cocoa farming, potentially exposing farmlands to illegal mining activities. The General Secretary maintained that the new measures risk undermining the cocoa sector rather than stabilizing it.
Governance is a serious business. And the difference between a mediocre government and a foresight government is to be your ability to predict the medium and long term. So the question I will ask is that, so when the government got to know that it was facing challenges at that point, October, November, December, we are in February, why didn't it communicate it to the farmers? And as a government, you understand that cocoa sector is the backbone of our economy.
I mean, just to take you on the point a bit about having foresight. I mean, you agree that even during the tenure of the NPP, when you are fixing cocoa prices, you take a look at the price on the global market. You agree with that?
Certainly. Certainly, but you don't change the price market midway. We are in the main cocoa season, right? And before a farmer goes to cultivate his cocoa, a price has been established. That is how much you are going to get. So through the processes of cultivating, hiring laborers to work on it, the farmer is anticipating that at the end of my harvest, I'm going to sell my produce at this price, which has been fixed by the government.
So in the event...
So in any case, that is why you're in government. Governments have, in previous years, I took a reference to the NPP government. In 2017, cocoa prices plummeted from 3,000 to about 1,800. But what did the government do? The government issued a bailout for our farmers, whilst it tried to figure out how to resolve the issue. So the question is, in the middle of a cocoa season, if the NDC government had foresight, were innovative, they should have anticipated that we are going to get to this point. So therefore, within this short time, let me provide a bailout for the farmers. So that at least in the next cocoa season, then we can come and sit down and put on the table, these are the issues confronting the cocoa sector. But they never did that.
And you heard the General Secretary of the Opposition MPP, Justin Frimpong Kodia. Meanwhile, the Minority Caucus in Parliament is calling on President John Mahama to dismiss the Chief Executive Officer of the Ghana Cocoa Board, Randy Abe, citing what it describes as a deepening crisis in the sector. The minority says the reduction in the cocoa producer price of approximately 28.6% could have serious implications for farmers and their families, hence the need for the president to act.
The new managers of the cocoa sector have reset the trading program of Cocoa Board. We used to sell about 70%, the new managers sales and 30% on spot. They argued that that was an incompetent approach and decided to change it. And now they are selling about 70% on spot. That is why today, as prices have dipped, they are struggling and are saying that the price they had announced ends up being higher than the current prices on the market. That's number one. This action to announce a 28% reduction in the price amounts to a haircut of about 28% on close to 1 million Ghanaian cocoa farmers. Already when you go into the cocoa growing areas, I was in my areas just a few days ago. A lot of young people are already not going into cocoa because they say the older folk who went into it, they don't see a transformation in their lives. It's left with the old, elderly, poor on the farms. When you do this, what is going to happen in subsequent years is that even those ones will not be going into the cocoa production. If they won't sell their cocoa farms to Galamsey operators, God knows what they will do. All of this has come about because of the reset that Cocoa Board did. And that is why, respectfully, we ask the president to relieve the Cocoa Board CEO of his responsibilities at this point in time. Number two, we are asking the government that in previous times when cocoa prices fell and the government absorbed the shock and protected the cocoa farmer, the NDC government should absorb the cost of what they have done and protect the cocoa farmer and restore at least the 3,625 that they promised. This 2,800 or so that they are promising is totally unacceptable. Already we are receiving messages from cocoa farmers who say that if this is what is going to happen, they are going to demonstrate in a number of these. And if they do, we in this caucus, we will join them on the streets to do this demonstration. We thank you for the time and the...
And you had Kojo Ponkuma, former Information and Works and Housing Minister, speaking on behalf of the minority in Parliament. We stay a bit longer on this because cocoa farmers in the Bono region are expressing mixed reactions as the government slashes the price of a 64-kilogram cocoa bag from 3,625 to 2,587 for the 2025-2026 crop season. This decisive measure, announced by the Finance Minister, aims to address the impact of falling global cocoa prices, which have dramatically decreased from an average of 7,200 Ghana cedis to 4,100 Ghana cedis per ton. Farmers view this move as a vital step in stabilizing their livelihoods amid challenging market conditions. A report by Claude Komi Abisa.
In a contentious decision, the government has slashed the cocoa producer price from 51,660 Ghana cedis to 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton. Despite initial outrage, many farmers have voiced their understanding, acknowledging the finance minister's recent remarks that these difficult measures are essential to safeguard the future of the cocoa industry.
In order to cushion the farmer, the PPLC has recommended that the farmer be paid 90% of the achieved gross FOB of $4,200 per ton to mitigate the adverse impact as a result of the fall in the world market price. Effective today, Thursday, 12 February 2026, the new producer price for the remainder of the 2025-2026 crop season will now be 41,392 Ghana cedis per ton and 2,587 Ghana cedis per bag.
This strategic decision aims to provide immediate liquidity and ensure the sustainability of the cocoa sector amidst these adverse market conditions. While cocoa farmers in the Bono region have reluctantly embraced the price reductions, they expressed a sense of satisfaction regarding the new measures announced by the finance minister.
It's a problem, but at least we've heard from our neighbors, neighboring countries, some are around 2,300. So at least we know we are somehow better than them. We've been giving fertilizers this year. We've been giving chemicals to spray and a lot. So we are grateful. But what we also plead is that they release our monies for the ones they take to us. And then as the price has come down at the world market, we are hoping and praying that someday to come the price will increase. And we will plead on the government that should in case the price increases, they should also try and increase the price for us.
Yeah, dear, we are for it. And how be say, near up peso yeno.
We are not so worried about it. All we want is that he will ensure that the cocoa sector becomes better. Our plea to government is that they should pay us what they've already bought from us. If he says you pay us our monies and reduce the prices of the new ones, then we don't have a problem. But all we are pleading is that if there is an increment in the world market, he should ensure that we also increase ours for us to calm our nerves. Claude Kumi Ebisa, TV3 News, Doma.
Let's speak to Nana Opambo Boateng Bunsu, President of Concerned Farmers Association. Good afternoon to you, sir. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good afternoon.
You're a farmer yourself. Your reaction to the reduction in the producer price from 3,600 to now 2,500?
Yeah, well, thank you very much, and then good afternoon to your listeners. With the price that came, we are not looking at for price now. We're looking at for the money that has not been paid for the past 3 months, but at the end of the day, allocations or maybe directives have been made for us to receive our money. But with the current price that has come, we are also on the field getting the views of the farmers so far. Currently, we are in the central region, that the central region, Sword Group, specifically Asafo, and then the cooperative or the farmer groups around there embrace the price. What they are saying is they are okay with the price, and then what government has to also to do or understand is when the price goes up, they should also increase the price to go up. When it comes down to, as it has come down, that it reduce it, they will accept it like that. So this is really what is happening. And then not only that, please, we are touring the whole 72 cocoa district to get the views of the farmers before we will come in conclusion with a press conference on Monday or Tuesday, a way to come out with acceptance or maybe to talk about our position on the new price that has been released.
Again, you say that your concern it's about the payment. Of course, yesterday we had the finance minister asking Cocoa Board to pay farmers immediately. Have you heard anything yet as regards when exactly you'll be paid since the announcement was made less than 24 hours ago?
Yeah, well, this calls that is have been coming to the other LBCs that have been calling that farmers have to get ready, but very soon checks will be in their various banks and then they'll go for it and then they'll be paying them. So we are on a toll and then getting in touch with the farmers themselves and then also getting feedbacks also from them, meaning that some of the LBCs have called them that very soon they are going to receive their money. So this is what is really happening on the ground so far as we are meeting the farmers and then also trying our best in a way for we to come out with our decision on the new price that has been released.
But would you say that generally you're okay with the announcements and the measures to be implemented as announced by the finance minister yesterday?
Yeah, well, looking at the directives and then the new changes that they are bringing on, what I think is going to help the farmers. And then also PBC coming back again to be buying also the cocoa, I think it's a nice and a lot of idea. And also adding value addition that will boost the local industry, I think is the perfect one that it will put a lot of money into the pocket of the farmers. But with the new price that I'm talking about, it's a collective of ideas. We can't just come out to say that we embrace it or maybe the price that came, it is okay or not okay. You can be hearing from other farmers that they are not okay with it, others are saying they are okay with it. So it's a collective of ideas and then views from the various farmers from the 16 regions. If all of us get together, or this 72 cocoa district, if all of us go or on a one decision, then Monday, Tuesday we come out to declare our intention on the new price.
All right, we'll have to end it here. Thank you very much. And you had Nana Opambo Boatin Bonsu. He's the president of the Concerned Farmers Association. Now, the Accra High Court has granted leave to parties in the Vehicle Enforcement Association versus the Driver and Vehicle Licensing Authority case to settle the matter out of court after lawyers for Original Manufacturing and Enforcement Company Limited notified the court of readiness by the parties. The plaintiffs, VMAC, have filed a suit to restrain DVLA from rolling out a new vehicle number plate registration system. Let's speak to our Court Affairs correspondent, Lord Adu. Sorry, Lord, if you can hear me, what more can you tell us about this?
Well, Beatrice, so basically, we're expecting the court today to give a ruling on the injunction application filed by the Vehicle Enforcement Association of Ghana. The injunction application against the new digital platform by the DVLA. But in court today, lawyers for the second defendant, you recall, Beatrice was talking about it the last time, that OMEL, or the Original Manufacturing and Enforcement Company, the contractors that DVLA have given that new digital number plate system to, they filed a suit to be joined to that application in court or suit in court, because they say that whatever the outcome is, it would affect them, and so they wanted to be parties to the case. Now, today, their lawyer indicated to the court he actually made his first appearance, because, again, at the last agenda, after they had filed to be joined as parties to the case, they did not show up. And so a hearing notice was filed, and then it was communicated to them, and so they're in court today. So their lawyer made his first physical appearance, and he indicated that he's had a very excellent relationship with lawyer or counsel for VMAG, and that lawyer is Martin Tebu. He indicated that they've been having conversations outside of court regarding the matter, and so they're praying for an adjournment to continue that conversation. And then Martin Tebu actually affirmed what he said and indicated that, yes, they've started having conversations to settle the matter amicably out of court. And once the CR 47 actually outlines out of court settlements between parties, he prayed the courts to grant that adjournment for them to continue with this conversation. Now, the presiding judge in the matter, by hearing them, Justice Isaac Adu, he indicated that if all parties are on the same page, then he would grant that adjournment. And I need to add that the lawyer for DVLA, the first defendant, he also indicated that he's not opposed to this new development by way of out-of-court settlement conversations between all the parties. And so the court then granted them leave or adjournment as they were finish the conversation, and then come back to the court to present what that agreement that all the parties have had regarding the out-of-court settlement in the matter. And so the case is back in court on February 27th, by which time the court is expecting that the agreement will be made available to the court, and then we see what that agreement will be.
All right, thank you very much. I do have Lord Adu, our Court Affairs correspondent. Some more news here, and the national chairman of the National Democratic Congress, Johnson Asiedu Nkatia, has urged party members who are yet to receive government appointments to remain patient. Addressing party faithful during a stop on his central regional tour in Winneba in the Futu constituency, Mr. Asiedu Nkatia explained that constitutional provisions limit the number of appointments President John Mahama could make at any given time. He said that the party had fulfilled its promise to reduce the size of government to 60 ministers, a move he said naturally restricts the number of available positions. The NDC chairman encouraged members with grievances to channel their concerns through the appropriate party structures, assuring them that the issues would be addressed in due season.
Branches, yeah, better no. A hundred that's more free money. Obia, obey na juma ye. Amunim say or some party no one quite so. A home konya say mobese sano. Na obia ne naiba kusi ha na ne naiba kusi ha. More na more to me say, Moba says, Answer. Ayazu, Anunti, say, Abatu Oduruso, Namuko Jessica, no be a munim said the 9th year, Margin is Sika, Nama to Amana. I said, look at Yantimin Free cry, and be you free up. And Timo be a money, not the one year papa, na moto abayinua, my nephew. Enti, Madame Munyanasi, may hear him say, branch elections. Ye baby, let us say, one year branch executives, one more ebedi party learning near Timia Coco, near winning 2028 election. Nayanya MP, Ewo, and Futua. Madame Munyanasi,
And I heard that the chairman of the governing NDC, Johnson Adu Katia, now as part of efforts to operationalize President John Mahama's 24-hour economy market, the Bole District Assembly and the Office of the Member of Parliament have begun a massive decongestion exercise at the allocated land site for work to commence. Several shops at the allocated area have since been demolished to pave way for the start of the project. Residents say they hope the project kickstarts as soon as possible. The 24-hour economy program is a flagship intervention that seeks to deepen local economic development and decentralization. Let's go now and engage with my colleague Christopher Amwako, who's following the story for us. Chris, we know that some areas are having issues with the setting of the markets, but if you can paint a picture for us, really, the situation in Bole currently.
Yes, so with Bole, the situation is different because the stakeholders have all agreed to cite the market as a very advantageous place within the heart of town. That particular place happens to be a government land where over the years, some private individuals have turned the place into business centers. And so when the idea came for the 24-hour market, all stakeholders, traditional authorities, the District Assembly, the Office of the MP, and the youth all agreed that that particular place should be cleared for work to commence on the 24-hour market. So as we speak, work has begun. The place has been cleared by the Assembly, waiting for the contractor to come on site and start work as we speak. Let's take a listen to the sentiments, some of the comments coming from the residents and their readiness to support the project.
Of the market, indeed, I'm very happy because where the siting is in the middle of the town, and indeed to have any market functioning very well is supposed to be located in the middle of the town. If we site a market outskirts of the town, people find it difficult to visit those areas. So being in town, and especially in the middle of the town, that will encourage or enable people to always get easy access to the market. Instead of siting it outside the town, it doesn't make economic sense. So for it being in the middle of the town, everybody will have easy access to this particular market.
Let's look at this. Actually, we are most grateful for getting this beautiful edifice. But you know, for every good project, normally it comes with other disadvantages or maybe some push. How to get the land actually wasn't easy, in a sense that people were occupying here, they were getting their daily bread here. All of a sudden, we have to cut them away from their daily bread. Actually, it wasn't that easy, but through negotiation, through the use of Bole, the district assembly, and then that of the MP, we both collaborated with the traditional leaders, and we were able to talk to the people here, and honestly, therefore agreed that they will move here and they will use it for development.
Well, you had some residents of Bole there. Christopher Mwako is still on the line with us. Chris, what have you heard any word from authorities as regards assurance to these residents?
Yes, so the Member of Parliament as well as the District Chief Executive have all been commending the youth and residents of Bole for their understanding that the market should be situated right in the heart of town. And so they have also given the assurances that they will take every step possible to ensure that, first of all, the contractor gets on site, and the duration of the project is adhered to so that the place will be conducive for people to go about their businesses. The other assurance has to do with the fact that people who were there earlier and their places demolished, they are going to ensure that when the market is operational, they will be the first persons to be considered for the market stores. Let's take a listen to what the Member of Parliament for Bole has been telling us.
Very strong youth group working with the District Assembly and myself have all resolved that the best place to put the market is where we are standing. This oval has so many business activities going on here, but the people have resolved that they were ready to sacrifice their businesses temporarily for us to be able to put the market here. Now, it's not going to be the market alone, but this place will be a place that we are going to focus our attention on and to put all the necessary infrastructure here to beautify our community, to beautify Bole. And that's what we are witnessing today. I can tell you, the people who were here doing their businesses have all voluntarily agreed to move out of this place to pave way for this market and other projects to take place. I want to stand here to thank them for this. In fact, I don't know how to even describe it. This overture, this preparedness for the development of this community, I've never seen it anywhere. We have all resolved, and that is why you see this demolition going on seamlessly. People have sacrificed their businesses, and we want to assure them that we are going to develop this area to meet their expectations. As I stand here, I'm envisaging the kind of projects we bring here. So it's not going to be the market alone. We will bring very beautiful projects here to sort of uplift this area and to give it the kind of development that we want.
And you had the Member of Parliament for the Bole constituency. Let me wrap up my conversation with Christopher Amwako, our correspondent. Chris, what else do we need to know about this project and the way forward? Okay, we lost Christopher Amwako on the line there, but let's bring you some other news. And the Africa Union's champion for gender and development and Ghana's President John Mahama has challenged African countries to commit to increasing their budgetary allocations to support women and gender-based programs to ensure that women are not left behind. Speaking at a breakfast meeting on financing and reaffirming Africa's gender commitments, President Mahama said the gender-based programs suffer budget cut whenever countries want to be austere in managing their budget, a move, he says, stifles growth and development of the continent.
By 2028, every member state should adopt gender-responsive budgeting with a defined minimum allocation for gender equality. The second is that let us commit to urgent ratification and implementation of the AU Convention on Ending Violence Against Women and Girls, supported by costed national action plans. And third, let us accelerate financial and economic inclusion to ensure women and our youth enjoy equal access to finance, assets, markets, decent work, and economic decision-making. And the fourth and final, let us convene a high-level stock-taking summit to publicly report on our progress.
And you heard that President John Mahama. Well, that's it for the midday news here on Sri FM 92.7. My name is Beatrice Adu. Thank you very much for joining us on the program this afternoon. Log on to srinews.com for more news.
On 3FM 92.7. Coming up this afternoon, Joe Jackson backs market-based cocoa pricing as right move for farmers.
The move towards market-based pricing and guaranteed minimums, excellent. It's good for the farmers. On the second hand, if they strengthen financing mechanisms, it will only help Cocoa Board be better placed.
Meanwhile, Cocoa Farmers Alliance of Africa rejects calls for IMF bailout, backs government strategy to reform Ghana's cocoa sector. In March later, government seeks 6.415 billion cedis in treasury bill auction amid the cocoa board debt crisis. I am Enyuna Malika. We'll bring you details of our headlines and other stories. Please stay with us. Thank you for staying with us. Now to our first story. The Chief Executive Officer of the Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, has thrown his weight behind the government's pivot towards market-based pricing and guaranteed minimums for the cocoa sector, describing the move as a necessary step to protect the livelihoods of Ghanaian farmers. Speaking in the wake of sweeping reforms announced by the Ministry for Finance, the veteran financial analyst noted that aligning farm gate prices with international benchmarks while maintaining a safety net is the most suitable way to manage the industry's volatility.
Whatever it is, some reforms were going to be needed, were going to be required. So, on the positive side, listen, the move towards market-based pricing and guaranteed minimums, excellent. It's good for the farmers. On the second hand, if they strengthen financing mechanisms, it will only help Cocoa Board be better placed to buy cocoa and to trade cocoa. Listen, that can be a problem. The third thing is that we wish to add value to the domestic economy. That we can only applaud. And then there is the focus on accountability. So the positive side, but there are a few risks we have to look at. Number one, execution risk. And I suppose we will talk about operationalizing domestic bonds and the risk they carries. We will talk about the fact that Cocoa Board may need some more institutional reform.
And that was the Chief Executive Officer of Dalex Finance, Joe Jackson, backing the market-based cocoa pricing as the right move for farmers. Now, still on the cocoa sector, the Ghana Charter of the Cocoa Farmers Alliance of Africa has formally declared its support for the government's current strategy to stabilize the nation's cocoa sector, rejecting suggestions that the country should seek an International Monetary Fund bailout for the industry. In a press release issued recently, the alliance expressed strong confidence in the domestic path being paved by state authorities. A statement signed by the CFFA member, Mark Ewusi Ako, lauded the Ministry for Finance for its commitment to homegrown measures rather than external intervention. There's more in the following report.
The Ghana chapter of Cocoa Farmers Alliance of Africa dismissed suggestions, particularly the minority in parliament, that Ghana should turn to the International Monetary Fund for support. According to the statement, cocoa farmers appreciate government's broader economic management efforts, which they say have helped stabilize the Ghana cedis and reduce inflation to single digits. The alliance also acknowledged the responsibility of farmers to ensure cocoa prices remain competitive on a global market to sustain the industry. The development follows a cabinet decision to reduce the producer price of a 64-kilogram bag of cocoa from 3,625 cedis to 2,587 cedis. The price adjustment forms part of measures announced by the Finance Minister Kisel Atu-Forson, aimed at addressing financial pressures within the sectors. The minister's announcement was subsequently followed by a press conference by the minority who called for IMF intervention. However, the Cocoa Farmers Alliance of Africa, Ghana chapter, insists that Ghana must resolve its economic challenges through domestic solutions rather than external support.
Now, still on agriculture, and the General Secretary for the New Patriotic Party, Justin Frimpong has launched a scathing critique on the governing National Democratic Congress following a reduction in the producer price per bag for cocoa farmers. Speaking in an exclusive interview on TV3 with Joseph Akabli, the NPP chief scribe warned that a downward price adjustment is a betrayal of the Ghanaian farmer and a threat to the stability of the agricultural sector.
They should understand and admit that they have failed in the cocoa sector. They should understand that they have destroyed the cocoa industry. And the worrying aspect of it, maybe you have not had the time to really analyze the critical effect of the decision that this government has taken. It has created chaos in the cocoa industry because I gave my produce to you at 3,600. So I'm expecting 3,600 from you, and it's a contract between the two of you. So now that you have reduced the price to 2,500, so what message is the purchasing class going to tell the farmer? That is one. The cost that the farmer has to bear now. Because mind you, after harvesting and giving the produce to the purchasing club, the farmer has to pay the laborer. If the farmer contracted loan from the bank, the farmer has to go back and pay the bank. So now, the bag of cocoa, for instance, if we're doing 100 bags of cocoa, now the government is saying that he's taking 100,000 from that 100 bags of cocoa. We have gone to the bank to contract loan. So how is the poor farmer going to pay back the loan?
You heard that the General Secretary for the New Patriotic Party, Justin Frimpong Kudia. Now, away from agriculture, the government of Ghana returned to the domestic money market today to raise 6.41 billion cedis through its weekly treasury bill auction. This move comes as the state seeks to maintain its 6-week streak of subscription while navigating a severe financial crisis at the Ghana Cocoa Board.
The auction, which features the standard 91-day, 182-day and 364-day tenures, is being closely watched by investors. While the domestic money market has remained robust, the underlying debt profile of Cocoa Board has reached a record 32.9 billion cedis. Finance Minister Dr. Kasiela Toforson hinted on Thursday, February 12, 2026, that a portion of the liquidity generated from domestic borrowing could support the newly proposed cocoa bonds. To alleviate pressure, government is hiving off 4.35 billion cedis of cocoa road debt to the Ministry of Roads and Highways. Government is seeking to raise 6.415 billion cedis today, February 13, 2026, to finance maturing debt. Despite the heavy borrowing, market analysts expect strong demand. The T-bill market is currently the safest harbor for institutional liquidity. However, the long-term success of these auctions depend on the successful restructuring of the cocoa sector's legacy debt.
Now, to some other stories, Ghana's economy maintained its growth trajectory in November 2025, expanded by 4.2% year-on-year, according to the latest provisional monthly indicator of economic growth released by the Ghana Statistical Service. While the economy remains in expansionary treasury, the new figures indicate a notable moderation in momentum compared to the 7.1% growth recorded in November 2024. This serves as a high frequency of gauging economic activity, providing a pulse check of the nation's health before quarterly GDP figures are finalized.
It means that overall economic activity in Ghana was 4.2% higher in November 2025 than in the same month in the previous year. This 4.2% is what we call the growth rate from the MEC index. In plain language, Ghana produced 4.2% more goods and services in November 2025 than it did 1 year earlier. It is important to note that the MEC is not seasonally adjusted, since we don't yet have a longer series to enable deseasonalization. Monthly economic activity can rise and fall due to seasonal factors such as harvest cycles and increased end-of-year services demand. For this reason, we focus on the year-on-year growth, not month-on-month changes. Despite this volatility, the data shows a clear upward trend from November 2023 to November 2025.
And that was government statistician Dr. Alhassan Idrisu. That will be all for Business Daily on 3FM 92.7. For more news, please check our websites at 3news.com. I am Enyuna Malika. Stay tuned.